Hi everyone, this is Robin from the Persistence One marketing team, and welcome to another episode of Into the Code, where we discuss several topics, new features, new products with core engineers from the Persistence One team. So welcome, Marc and Puneet. Thank you very much for joining again. How are you guys doing?
Thank you, Robin. And yeah, glad to be here. Happy to be here for the next second episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's been a long time since we did the last episode. So without further ado, maybe just let's get started. There are a few topics that I want to discuss with you guys. One being stkXPRT, the automated validator delegation mechanism, and also about the Airdrop data checker that you guys have created. So maybe, Marc, I can start with you. stkXPRT, what is the status and when can we expect it to go live?
Good question, and that's good. That's the first one because like the answer is shortly, very shortly. In fact, the core development, the implementation is done, is ready. It has also been tested. It will be shortly in our testnet. It's just passing the last audits on the code because we've created a whole new module for this part. We're not using the same module as for the IBC version of the liquid staking. So it needs a lot of work in terms of audits and security checks. Where on that part, we expect them to be finalized by the end of this week. We're 4th of April right now. And yeah, like then soon after that, the testnet upgrade will come and then the mainnet. So very shortly. I'm happy to say that, but yeah, it's very soon.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that. And I'm also glad that you mentioned security. Because I know that we take security very seriously at Persistence. But how exactly does that translate into how you guys work or how you develop products?
Yeah, so I'll take that up. Security, I mean, in general for software, right? We follow the basic software rules. You write a piece of code, you write unit tests for it, and once a chunk of your feature is done, you start writing integration test for it. So that's like from the development side of it, we try to write smaller code, smaller PR, so even the reviewer that wants to look at the PR is in the right state of mind, because if you shove someone with 30 files, no one's going to read that, right? So yeah, from the development side, we try to take care of a lot of things. But even after that, because everyone's like a team member and everyone is so much in context of what's happening, we tend to slip things. Some things go unnoticed and so on. So after that, each feature that we plan to push or each release that goes onto mainnet is always audited by at least one auditor, right? And any changes that they suggest, we take a look at them and yeah, I mean, we go back and forth. Sometimes the fixes are very relevant, sometimes not so much. Depends how they fit into the product. But yeah, more or less, it's the way we write code, the smaller PRs, it's very important, and security audits.
All right, thanks. And Marc, I think you mentioned it very shortly, but how is stkXPRT different from, let's say, STK Atom or STK Osmo from an engineering perspective?
Really good question, because as I mentioned before, we created a new module for that. And the main reason for that is that we don't need to use one of the main components when it comes to stkXPRT, which is present in the other implementation, which is IBC, right? We need IBC and different apps on the IBC stack, like ICA, in order to delegate and to communicate with other chains when we do liquid staking for Atom or Osmosis or Stargaze, all those different chains that we support on pSTAKE. In the case of XPRT, that is not needed because we're working on our own chain, so there's no that component of IBC in the middle. And that actually makes things way easier because IBC adds a lot of complexity. I'm not saying IBC is bad. In fact, it's great. But it just adds more complexity, right? Because we have to wait for acknowledgements. That can be, timeouts. Things can go wrong, and that translates into the complexity of the code and the state of it. In this case, we don't use it. We directly work with the staking SDK module, and that makes things very easy. And users won't notice it, but we will, because, for example, like right now, I think we mentioned that in the last video, but for IBC chains, we delegate once a day to not like spam the relayers with a lot of transactions. Here with the XPRT, we do it immediately when users deposit. So there's a bit of like differences. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but the overall idea is that the product it's much more simpler. It's better because it's more maintainable. And we're excited about it because that means it makes it super robust and easy to use. So yeah, I would say that's the main difference when it comes to it.
All right, so the user won't experience that much of a difference with another STK token, but the main difference is in developing it.
Exactly, that's it. I wanted to add something real quick as well. Like we were debating to go with a local host IBC client implementation, but we finally didn't choose that one. Exactly for this, right? To avoid the constant bothering of the relayers, because we think that infrastructure can improve and will improve a lot. But for now, it was easier for us to go to an implementation that used directly the staking module on our chain and had nothing to do with IBC.
Something else that was introduced when liquid staking for Atom went live was DLSM, or liquid staking module. That enables Atom stakers to immediately liquid stake their Atom without having to wait for the unbonding period. If I'm not wrong, DLSM is also implemented on the Persistence 1 chain. Does that mean that this will also be the case for stkXPRT?
Yeah, so yes, the short answer is yes. We went live with LSM. I think we were the first chain to do that since LSM was ready for production for a while. And it just made sense that with LSM you could tokenize your shares. Now you have shares, and all the protocol needs to do is accept these shares to mint tokens. Of course, there are some risks that come with it, but as long as the protocol is fine with it and it has enough security measures against it, I think it was a great addition. With persistence, we had like another reason to also implement LSM is because we had a different coin type for address creation, right? And since there were a lot of client issues with that, we decided to migrate it to the standard that every chain in Cosmos uses. That's 118. Earlier it was 50, and it just caused some of UX issues because wallets won't support it and so on. And that was great because usually the stakers had to wait for 21 days for unstaking to happen and then move tokens to the new wallet. With the LSM module, it's just instant. And this feature was could also be used for liquid staking XPRT. So what we thought of like we could just accept the liquid shares and mint stkXPRT, but still, because it's our own chain and we wanted to take care of some more security things, we made sure that since the tokens were liquid, were staked but instantly created into a liquid share, and now we are going to issue a fungible stkXPRT across all of them. We wanted to make sure that they are not fully transferable or fully you can't sell them maybe instantly, because that's one of the purposes of the staking module and why we have 21-day unbonding period. You're not allowed to instant sell tokens, and then the attack of censorship and so on can't happen. So that's the reason we wanted to do LSM, but of course we wanted to cap it. So that's why currently the feature that we have with LSM is LSM LP. So the liquid stake tokens that you'll get will be automatically LP'd into a Dexter pool, and they'll be locked for 7 days. So that might create some UX issues for the users, but from tokens and security perspective, I think it's like a great thing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, having the LSM is definitely a good thing because depending on how big your bags are, of course, 21 days of staking rewards, losing that can make a big difference, right? Going to the second topic, which is the automated validator delegation mechanism. It's a mouthful. Can you maybe explain to me exactly what it does or what it is?
Yeah, so validator selection is basically a criteria that we use for pSTAKE, because it's a liquid staking protocols and you stake on validators. So we had to, have a way for selecting validators that we want to stake on. And historically, how users, when they stake their tokens, they are always asked to do your own research. And what everyone does is just people will go to mint scan, they'll see if the validator has lowest commission, or uh, uh, one among the lower commissions, and they'll see the uptime so that they don't get slashed. They'll see governance participation if they care, so on and so forth. So all these small things were picked up by our business team, I guess. And then they created a document that hey, the validators that we want to stake with pSTAKE would ideally satisfy all these criteria that user looks for when they do their own research while staking. So that's what they did, and we basically translated those requirements into code. It required archival nodes, which were initially provided by Notional, but then we have engagement with SmartStake now. They create all the data that we require for making these scripts easier. And basically that's how we have the validator selection. The exact details that we picked up were, I think, based on validator commission, the overall uptime of the validator over last 180 days, the governance over last 180 days, and there's still one more that I don't remember, but yeah. So there are 5 of them, which were posted on pSTAKE governance and got approved and so on. So that's how we have it. It runs every day at, I think, post our epoch, which is 1250 UTC, 1240 UTC. And yeah, a new validator sets comes every day. All it does is basically, if you basically don't have the commission in a range, or if you have been jailed in last 180 days, it's just going to pull you out of the set. And if you are in the set, we have some desired as a user, I would want the commission to be low. So we have some kind of a scoring mechanism where if the commission is on the lower side, you get more points, and these points are reflected into the weights that pSTAKE stakes with. Yeah, that's how it goes. But mostly it's uniform. It's pretty lenient these days.
All right, thank you, Puneet, for that thorough answer. Now, if I'm not wrong, pSTAKE is the only one who is using this. Why is this so special, and how does this differentiate pSTAKE from other liquid staking protocols?
Yeah, I'll pick that one up. I think, in my opinion, and I think the vision of the company is, it all comes down to the responsibility that liquid staking protocols have. Because if you think about it, if the product goes well and a lot of users liquid stake with any liquid staking protocol, right? There's going to be a lot of tokens that are going to be delegated on their respective host chain. Let's say Cosmos in this case, right? That means that there's going to be a huge influx of tokens coming from that liquid staking provider into those validators, right? So I think we have a great responsibility when it comes to selecting who are going to be owning that liquidity and that stake, right? And you can do that in multiple ways. You can do that because there's interests in those validators to be selected on the set, or you can do it like we do with our vision, which is to decentralize at maximum who is getting that part of the cake, right? Because from in our vision, we think that anyone should be able to get that. We just set the rules of the game. We just set those rules, which, by the way, are not, you can check, as Puneet said, you can check it out. They're public. They're not restrictive at all. We think that almost any validator can get to those numbers. And then if you're part of that, you'll be automatically receiving part of the pSTAKE delegation. And I think and we think that should be like that, to promote decentralization, because we should not be anyone selecting who has to have more power within the chain. We are just a middleman in the middle who's providing a service to users, and then who's trying to make things as democratic as possible, right? So that's our vision, and that's we created this thing to be able to like again just set the rules of the game and let users make the rest. So yeah, that would be it.
Yeah, I mean, if you understand how it works and you're pro decentralization, I mean, it seems so evident that this is the only way to do it, right? So I try to understand why pSTAKE is the only one who's doing this right now. Was it maybe a hard thing to develop?
Wow. So the answer for this is like it's not super hard, but at the same time, it's like not easy. So that's where I keep saying yes and no. So the writing of script is pretty like trivial, because all you need to do is you need to get data from different sources. Like if you don't have a good aggregator like a smartStack, for example, then you just query the archival nodes. The problem comes with because pSTAKE is now integrating with I think 5 chains. I'm not sure, but yeah, we'll keep integrating with more chains. The requirement for the archival nodes will keep coming up, and as a team which mostly does persistence, we usually have infra for persistence related things. It's super difficult to get like proper reliable infra for the team basically on which we develop on. So fetching for archival nodes is a little difficult, right? So that's why currently what we do is if there's a if smartStack is present on the chain that we integrate, if they provide data for us, that's good. If not, if the host chain is willing to provide an archival node for us, or if there's a good provider of archival nodes, we'll use that archival node. But if there's a chain which has neither, right? So at that time, what we do is it's not super automated. Then it goes something like one of the developers will find the archival node sometime. They'll run the script for once in 2-3 months, and they'll just set the weights as the script generates. So it will be like automated, and the validators will have a say, but it won't be like daily basis, because archival nodes are like super hard to get.
All right. Well, maybe one more question before we head over to the next topic. Will this also be implemented for stkXPRT?
Yeah. I mean, the solution is same for all. The Cosmos stack has all the same, criteria for validators. So they have all the same fields, so we can implement it on all the validators. So it's same scripts, same criteria, and for all the liquid stake tokens that we support, at least on Cosmos.
All right.
I would just add something to that real quick, which is that the only difference is that for Cosmos and XPRT, we have LSM, the LSM module activated. So that's one more criteria, which is that the validators have to have LSM bonded eligibility. But for the rest, is, as Puneet said, is exactly the same thing. Yeah.
All right, perfect. Well, next thing that I wanted to talk about is the Airdrop data checker for stkTOKENS. As we've seen with up and downs, the market starts to pick up a little bit, or slowly from now on. And that also means that new products or projects start to launch their products. And that often comes hand in hand with an airdrop, right? Most of the times, at least in the current past, stakers from all kind of assets are targeted for airdrops, but liquid stakers are often left out, and so that's why eligibility for liquid stakers has been a hot topic, right? Explain to me what exactly have you built?
Yeah, so I can take that one. I mean, I think you summarized it very well. Like in the sense that we want people to liquid stake, right? We want people to use our products, but then if they do that, they're out of one of the main Cosmos things right now, which is airdrops, right? So, and that doesn't make sense, at least to me, right? So what we've built is basically a system that compiles, is able to compile all the required data to triage and filter users or holders based on different criteria, based on the project that's airdropping on the chains that we operate to. So maybe tomorrow a project will want to airdrop to, I don't know, Atom holders or Atom stakers, sorry, plus people who is participating in DeFi Neutron, right? They will come to us with all the list of requirements, and then we will be able to input that into like an API system that we've built, that it's gonna compile all the required data, make the filters, parse it, and then prepare like a list of addresses with the amount of tokens they have eligible by holding them, by staking them, by whatever the criteria is. It's been a very not so complicated task for the majority of the chains. But for some of them, it's been a bit more complicated because of like we've needed to use indexers, and although that's not the preferred way to do it, because indexers, for anyone who has worked with them, it's our processes were like demanding when it comes to operation and maintenance. But for the most part of it, it hasn't built really difficult to build. I think this is more like a BD play in terms of like getting projects to come to us, and if they even know, I make a public call here, like we're ready, we have that data, so it's just a matter of getting that criteria that I was mentioning, getting in touch, and we can provide any data for any of the assets that we're operating to. So,
well, yeah, that was actually another question that I wanted to ask. Having this in place, does that mean that pSTAKE users will always get airdrops or get more airdrops now?
I mean, it depends on the project that's wanting to airdrop, right? So from pSTAKE or persistence, it's our job to reach out to the projects that, hey, guys, you are doing airdrop for these stakers, and ideally your goal for airdrop is maybe to get the users, right? And the users that are actually using the protocols are actually in DeFi, and they are probably liquid staking instead of just staking, because as far as I remember, when users stake, they just stake, and then they maybe integrate with some restaking service, and they forget about their wallet. They check it out in the next bull run or something like that. But if you want users, you should ideally always tackle liquid staking folks who are degening somewhere. Yeah, but what we have built is basically something that's easy for projects. Usually the process was that you would reach out to a project and beg them for data. We have made sure that data is readily available. So you just need to ping the pSTAKE team, hey, I need data for this time, this date, this block, and we'll just give it.
All right. So if you're watching and you're planning to launch a product or a project with an airdrop, know that these guys have created a data checker. So if you want to target specifically liquid stakers, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Well, I think this wraps it up for me. I don't know if you guys have any final comments or something that you want to talk about.
it's all good here. I think we covered mostly everything.
Yeah, mostly everything. But of course, because all development that we do is open source, and it's mostly visible to public eye. So if anyone, and we have like good bug bounty programs as well. If someone is just looking to contribute, sure, please, we accept all kinds of PR on all code repos. If it's documentation, if it's even typos, we'll accept it. No worries. And if it's a vulnerability report, do mail at I think admin@persistence we have, or we have integrations with bug bounty programs. Do mention them.
All right, perfect. Well, the only thing that is left for me then is to thank you once more, Marc and Puneet, for freeing some time. And let's not wait too long to do this again, because there are so many other topics that we can discuss. But for now, thank you very much, and see you next time, guys. Cheers.
Thank you so much, Robin. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.